And the single most important regulatory reform we could do is we need to repeal every single word of Obamacare. Right now, we have a moment in time. In the next 30 days, we have our single best opportunity we have ever had to stand up and defund Obamacare. Now, I want to spend a few minutes talking about the battle to defund Obamacare, because I think it is the most important fight facing our country right now. Listen, Obamacare is the #1 job killer in the United States of America. If you want economic growth back, nothing is holding it back more than Obamacare. You know, just a couple of weeks ago, I sat down in a small business roundtable in Kerrville, Texas, small town in central Texas. Had about 20 small business owners and asked each of them, share with me an issue that's on your heart, whatever it was, totally open-ended question. As we went around the room, over half of those small business owners described how Obamacare was the single biggest challenge they faced in their business. 4 or 5 of them talked about how they had 30, 40 employees. They had opportunities to expand their business. But they weren't going to expand because if they crossed the threshold of 50 employees, they'd fall under Obamacare and that cost would drive them out of business. You know, one woman described how she owns several fast food restaurants. And almost choking up with tears, she described how she's been forced to forcibly reduce the hours of her employees to 29 hours a week. And she said, listen, these people have been with us 10, 20 years. These are single moms. These are people who are struggling, and they can't afford to feed their families on 29 hours a week. But you know what? They can't feed their families if I go out of business either. Another fellow who's in the business of manufacturing hunting blinds described how he was forced to move his manufacturing overseas to China. He said, listen, I want to manufacture here in the United States. That was 150 to 200 good manufacturing jobs. But if they're here, I come under Obamacare, and we can't be competitive in the marketplace with the cost that that's imposing. Now look, you may not believe small business owners. You may not believe the politicians who talk about it. But how about Max Baucus, the Democrat who wrote Obamacare? He describes it as a major train wreck. That's the guy who wrote it. Now, maybe he didn't read it. James Hoffa, the president of the Teamsters, has said Obamacare is destroying the 40-hour work week. That is the backbone of the American middle class. Now, that's not me saying that. That's the Teamsters. The IRS Employees Union has publicly asked to be exempted from Obamacare. These are the guys in charge of enforcing it on the rest of us. And of course, President Obama, most shamefully, has lawlessly exempted members of Congress from it. And that was at the behest of Harry Reid, the Senate Democrats who passed it. And you want to see the difference, that disconnect between career politicians and the American people, you don't have to look any further than right there. So what do we do? A lot of good suggestions there. But let me focus on one direct fight. On September 30th, the continuing resolution that funds the federal government expired. Shut it down! I, along with a number of other senators, have publicly pledged under no circumstance will we vote for any continuing resolution that funds it. The reaction here, just like with abolishing the IRS, is exactly the same as the reaction in Washington, except they're yelling different things. And listen, I'm going to be brutally honest. If the ordinary rules of Washington apply, if the forums in which the case has to be made are the smoke-filled rooms of Washington, we can't win this fight. I can't win this fight. Mike Lee can't win this fight. No elected politician in Washington can win this fight. The only people who can win this fight are you.